So I can start. The first question that was written there is, what are the ways UDL is qualitatively different to differentiation and what Chrissy calls well-intentioned random acts of inclusion? Um, well, my thinking was, well, it wasn't my thinking really. It was just reiterating what Chrissy was saying, is that it's planned for, that you have to think about both ends of the spectrum when you create your plans. You can't just plan for the middle and hope for the best, that you're going to get the other two ends, that it's intentional and you need to think about the barriers that exist and then go about systematically removing them for one reason or another. It might be in your plan, but it might be the environmental difference. And that does lead on to that, Shelley, it'll come back to me, but the bowling ball.
Analogy. Do you know
Yeah.
that she's got her whole own website and she's got 5-minute podcasts and stuff like that? It's really quite interesting.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
I
Yeah.
Shout
looked her
more.
up as well, and I thought that was great. I've never have you come across that bowling
Have it-
ball thing before?
No, no,
It
it makes
really
perfect sense.
resonated though, didn't it? Like it was
Yeah.
really, you can just picture that exact, the ball rolling down and how the curve is changing your direction of planning. And yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shelley Moore.
Shelley Moore.
Yes, that's the one. I got it. If you Google her and then just do that image search, then there's posters made of it. So I've
Oh, cool.
copied
Oh,
a
that's cool.
poster. I could probably share you my
That's
picture, but
cool.
I was going to show my husband about it to do with this team. I'll just share screen and then you'll be able to see. Oh, looks like that.
I didn't think there's
Yeah.
any way of getting around that 17-10 split.
Did you like that?
Is that her poster?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
So you just image search it and just put that concept in and then go images and then it comes up.
Yeah.
Yes. So that anyone else got things to talk about the intentional business rather than random?
I thought it's interesting and I'd never thought about how the UDL is used out in the community. I've only ever heard of it in the school setting, but then I thought, of course. And then I was in my reflection, I wrote about how Countdown have their quiet hour, like when they have
Yes.
everything down low. So I looked up the Countdown site and found out about their quiet hour. And yeah, I'd never, of course it makes sense, but I'd not made that
Yes.
connection before.
Because the same with the movies, they have that hour. Don't I mean a screening where it's least loud or something, and the lights are on,
Yeah.
or is it
Mm.
the core theatre or something? They do it as well.
Oh, I don't know.
No, and I know that the new pool, having their sensory room and they have things quieter and they have different times where people can go if you want to be quieter and yeah.
Mm.
It got me really thinking about though, and it's obviously quite political, but with the whole change in the curriculum refresh, obviously coming back to where in the context of my work and the UDL principles have not been thought about in the
No.
major curriculum refresh, and there was one thing about not putting students in boxes. I can't remember, I'd written that somewhere. And the way that our New Zealand curriculum education is going is that we are putting students in boxes and we're wanting everybody. And it's just, I think it's really highlighted for me in terms of the whole backstory, the why of Te Mataeaho was, I'm sure they've mentioned UDL in the building blocks of the curriculum, but it's not true to UDL at all, is it? We're thinking about the middle band of children. We're not thinking about the 7 and
No,
10 pins at all. And and I guess that brings it back to our work. We are the ones that are needing to think about those other pins on our bowling alley. And
Mm.
yeah, I think I was quite frustrated by that. The more they talked about it, and when we listened to the student talking, um,
oh, wasn't she amazing?
amazing. And all of those things that she said, if you're going to send me home with homework, just take a moment to talk to me beforehand about,
Yes.
what it's about. And I was like,
Her vocabulary and her phrasing was amazing, wasn't it?
yeah. No, it was very cool. So I guess it was that, and that concept of zooming out, we talk about zooming in a
Yes.
lot, don't we? Zooming in on what's important and zooming in on our students and things. But yeah, zooming out was a bit of a flip in our way of thinking, but it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the current curriculum refresh is not designed on UDL principles. So
I find it strange that we're all just kind of, well, you're not clearly, Kelly, because you're challenging, but it seems like we're almost accepting this complete different way of teaching that we've all been brought up to do, and we've all been teaching for years and years. And you take the student where they're at and you then make it accessible and success, build success, and you take them where they're at. But now it's like one size fits all. You're sitting in a year five class, you're doing year five English, you're doing year five maths.
It's
And that's,
interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting as well because I did the inclusive module as
oh,
well,
yeah.
which is not UDL, but they really integrate. And I was thinking about the new curriculum as well and how it's just not inclusive at all. And they talk about inclusion and the norm is done on the bell curve and it's sort of a bit like the 7-10 split. So I completely agree about the curriculum refresh. Just seems to be going so far back from where we've come. I mean, we've got so far to go in inclusion and UDL still, but we seem to be just going right back to the beginning almost.
And I'm thinking about these
So
teachers that are coming out because at least we've got a good background that we, can
yeah,
obviously decline it.
I was also thinking, I think one of the end slides was when we were talking about key themes and concepts. And it was that valuing and anticipating strengths and diversity, and that's what we're not doing with our current mainstream curriculum is we're going, okay, these are for all of the students that fit in this box. Okay, we've done this planning. Now, what about for the deaf student? What about for the student with autism? All of these other, instead of thinking, okay, we know that our students are coming with lots of different diverse needs, lots of strengths, lots of different experiences. How can we encompass that? Yeah, it seems totally flipped to what
Yes,
makes actual common sense would be to think
yeah,
about your outliers. I would have thought
I
outliers is
think
not the
so.
right word, but to think about them and you're going to encompass everybody. But I don't know, is that because we've been in deaf education for a while now that we're more focused, hyper focused on the needs of our students?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
I
I'd
think
like
we'd
to
be
think
thinking the
I
same.
I'd
Yeah,
like to think I would, but I'm just wondering if, yeah,
you would. Did anyone do the strengths and competencies self-reflection on themselves about engagement, representation, action, and expression? You wrote the things you want to work on and the things that support you to be successful.
not yet, but I've got it to do. I want to do it.
That's really interesting. Did you do it, Karen?
No, not yet.
I'll have a go because um, I have to say, and you'll find probably the same things. There's loads of things you could select that make you successful. Like you just tick the things, and I just, you write two or three. And then the things you'd like to work on, when you read through them, I'm sure you'll be the same as me. There's only maybe one or two. And you think, oh, we're all successful people. We've gone through school and we've gone to university, we're in education, we're doing well in our careers, whatnot. And you sort of think, oh, that's, hard work. But actually, when you go to read it, it is hard work, but also you naturally have these dispositions or you've got a strength in this. It's actually just the way you are.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think, kids, oh, if you just work hard, you'll get there. But actually, they're the ones that are working harder than anyone.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really are. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes it back to the that very beginning line about it's the environment, not the
Yes.
people that have the barriers.
No. Did you think of any UDL things for environment for our deaf and hard of hearing that are good for everyone else? Do you
I
think of
actually
barriers?
had a conversation just recently, funnily enough, before I even started the module, about one of the teachers went on our course that we run for the mainstream teachers.
Oh
And she
yeah,
came back to me with a whole heap of questions. And at the end of it, she said, we talked about this in the course, we talked about this. Do you think you can help me with this? And then she said, actually, probably that will work for all my students. And I was like, oh, that's UDL thinking without even thinking about it. So
yeah.
I've made we've arranged to meet next week. So I've made myself a template of a meeting that we will cover, and I've focused on the environment for this particular student as well.
Oh,
So we
cool.
will go through what it is in the environment that we think we can tweak for not just this student, but for everybody else as well.
Oh. You
Yeah.
could then use the pamphlet that I've made, and that would be
Oh,
really useful for
yes, please.
everybody.
Yeah. Well, it's a different look, and I love the fact that she came to the realization that, oh,
Herself.
it was
Yeah.
visual vocab. So she came to the realization, oh, it's going to work for everyone else. And I said to her, exactly. And it's not about her doing extra work at all. It's just tweaking a few things she does, because she does some really brilliant stuff with visuals and whatnot, to meet the needs of all of her learners. So it was like, that was very cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mm.
It's nice when it just happens naturally
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
rather
found that with
than,
all of these modules so far, though, I'm like,
Yes, I did
that
that.
connects, and yeah, I'm
And they
actually
all
really enjoying it.
interlink.
Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
totally.
they do.
I think that's what's been so, um, doing a couple of modules today about being able to build on one after the other, like they're not standing in
Yes.
isolation. So I'm like, oh,
No.
yeah, that's what I learned in that one, and that comes into this
Yeah.
one. I think another thing for us, I guess more adult centered for the organization level for me would be, Zoom etiquette, all those sorts of things. That makes it accessible for everybody.
Mm.
The hand up option, which obviously, we're not doing in our small group situation, but
No.
um, and then when we're presenting, and I know this is still applicable when we're working with students as well, not reading the slide and talking at the same time, and all of those things to make sure that all different modes of communication are being allowed for. And I guess it's a bit of like we just do it now, but it's not until you go to an external provider or someone else
Yes.
and or you watch someone else delivering a lesson to your students, you're like, oh, I can already see, XYZ are not able to access that information. And we forget when we're in the environment, I think, how quickly we've probably adapted, which is not, yeah, everybody needs to be thinking of it, not just those of us who are working in a specialist setting. So,
Mm.
yeah.
That's where the RTDs, working with other adults, teachers, that has a real ripple effect because rather than just taking a child out and working on one by one, but if you adapt, like you're going in care and you're working with the teacher and talking about the adaptations, but that ripple effect is huge. In fact, that could almost be your why.
Yeah.
A whole
Yeah.
UDL working with, that teacher take them through a process for a few weeks and that could be,
Because it is a flip for us, because we do zoom in on one, whereas the UDL zooms out really. So it's I think it's just those little subtle things that we can do as RTDs that, do have, as you were saying, that ripple of effect.
oh, has anyone got anything else they feel like they would like to share or shall we wrap it up?
Just if you get a chance, and even though you've not done the module and you possibly aren't, if you look at the inclusion module, at the very end of it, there is a video where whānau are speaking about their experiences with disabilities in the school system and their experiences with working with specialist teachers and what they would like to see and their ideal of what a specialist teacher can bring. There is one lady there who's had a negative experience, but it was just really interesting to hear what the whānau needs from us, and it all comes back to relationships,
Mm.
and it's sort of how they all tie back to knowing your whānau, knowing the student, knowing and listening, which, comes back to those effective conversations. But if you do get a chance, the videos, it's not long, but it's really interesting.
Cool.
I did think that looked interesting, that
Mm,
module, but not so much for me in my role because I'm not directly relating, but
yeah.
I will go
But
back and watch that.
just the history of how
Mm.
disabilities have been treated. And there was a really interesting fact that back when and students were institutionalized, New Zealand was one of the highest places in the world for that, for putting
Was it?
students away with disabilities. It's actually
That's
pretty
embarrassing.
sad. Yes, embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually found that module super interesting.
But the
That
new
really links
national,
to the
oh, go
sorry,
Kelly,
that
go
really
Kelly.
links to the professional or the well-being one too.
Oh,
When they
does it?
talked about how they were going in, because that's based on some research over 2 years with some students doing the specialist teaching.
Mm.
And they talked about, they would go into classrooms and the teacher would go, just take them away, just take them out and work with them, and they're your problem for the next hour, that type of mentality. And that, so I mean, they do all interlink, don't they? But
Yeah.
that was how the specialist teachers were saying, and then we had the weight of the world on our shoulders that we're supposed to, in the eyes of society, fix the student in an hour, and it's not, there is nothing that needs to be fixed in
Yeah.
the student anyway. But yeah, just how that really affected the specialist teacher's well-being, and you can tell that in reverse from what you're talking about, and historically, um, how that changes the perception of what a specialist teacher is and who they are. And they talked about some of the specialist teachers who talked about in the staff rooms and things, they felt like they were lesser, lesser of a teacher than
Mm.
other teachers. And yeah,
Ah,
but it is embarrassing, Michaela. That's a
it
pretty
is.
good word for us as a country.
But it's
Mm.
heading back that way in a little
Yeah,
way because national government are putting, all these new specialist schools. Well,
yeah,
not all of these, but they're moving towards building them, having them.
Yeah.